Well, it is now 7 p.m. on Monday, February 1st, 2021. I'm going to call the Cascade Charter Township Planning Commission meeting to order at this time and record the attendance of all members present. And with that, we will move on to Article 2, which is pledge allegiance to the flag. Just a moment, we'll have a flag up. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America
and
and to the republic
for which it
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. And with that, we will go to Article 3, look for a motion to approve the current agenda.
Member Johnson moves.
Thank you, Member
Member
Johnson.
Rappin
Do we have
supports.
support?
Member Rappin supports.
Member Rappin supports. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the current agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Article 4 is to approve the minutes of the January 18th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting.
Member Gatsma would move to approve those.
Thank you, Member Katzma. Do we have support?
Member Deering supports.
Thank you, Member Deering, for the support. Any discussion?
I found one very minor typo.
WO.
Page 2 of the minutes, second paragraph, fourth line down. I think the word should be to instead of woo, W-O, it should be to instead.
Member Katzma or Secretary Katzma, would you go along with that correction?
I would. Yep.
Okay, so the motion still stands. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes with a minor change, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now is Article 5. At this time, we acknowledge visitors and those wishing to speak to non-agenda items. If you could limit your comments to 5 minutes, please, per speaker. If you raise your hand electronically. And this is for items that are not on the agenda. We have a public hearing this evening for accessory building on Sturbridge Drive. And we will have a separate public hearing when we get to that article for anyone who wishes to comment about that. And so if you have something other than that particular case to speak of, now would be a fantastic time. Now is your time. So raise your hand electronically, press *9 if you're on a touch-tone phone, and we'll get you connected to us shortly. Do we have any hands, Cassie?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With nobody looking to speak to us, we're going to move on to Article 6, which is Brad Kraus looking for a special use permit to construct an accessory building larger than 832 square feet. Brian, what do you have this evening?
Yeah, I've got some things on that. Cassie's got the site plan up there. So as mentioned, the applicant's requesting a type 1 special use permit to allow for an accessory building over 832 square feet. The property is located on Sturbridge Drive, north of 28th Street, near Cascade Peace Park. The building is 32 by 48 with a small covered porch as well. So a total is approximately 1,728 square feet. And it has a height of 17 feet and 7 inches tall, measured to the midpoint of the roof. That height requires a setback of 40 feet to both the side and rear property lines. And they show a setback of 40 feet to both of those property lines there. The building will also have to be at least 10 feet from the house as well. The property is over 6 acres, so they're allowed to have up to 3 accessory buildings. And this will be the 3rd building on the property. The applicant indicated that they plan to use the building for storage, and the building is normal in size and appearance for the area. The applicant appears to meet our standards for an accessory building, so staff are recommending approval of the special use permit with 2 conditions: that the building is not used for living space or to run a business, and that any outdoor lighting meets our regulations.
Thank you, Brian. Does anybody have questions to staff at this time?
I have a question.
Yes.
Member Slater,
Ms. Slater.
You said it's the third building. What is the second building? Am I not seeing it?
They have, it's not, I don't think it's shown on that image there, but there's the existing house and then two other accessory buildings. There's a house or a pool building, a building by the pool, and then a tree house that actually qualifies as an accessory building as well.
So wouldn't that make 4?
4, yep. So the main house and then 3 accessory buildings. So this
Oh,
is
gotcha.
the third. Yep, sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you, Member Slater, for that. Okay, if we have no questions of staff, then I would see if the applicant wishes to speak at this time. He could raise his hand electronically and we'll get him connected. If not, that's okay. But if he has something to add, now would be his opportunity. Or hers.
Mr. Kraus is with us.
Excellent, Mr. Kraus. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, great.
And
Yeah, I think everything was presented correctly. It is measured and staked. Brian did visit the site with me, and your staff's been great helping me through the process to understand the rules as well, and all the different nuances that needed to be sufficed. And I believe that we have everything covered.
excellent. Excellent. I saw those stakes out there. So it looks like you're pretty well organized with this. Does anybody have any questions of the applicant? Well, it looks like you're going to get off easy tonight, Mr. Kraus, at least so far. Thank you for joining us, and we'll come back to you if we need to.
Fair.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, I'd like to have a motion to go to public hearing at this point.
Member Rappin would move to go to public hearing.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Thank you, Member Rappin. Thank you for the second, Member Slater. All those in favor to go to public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're in public hearing. Okay. At this time, if anybody wishes to speak regarding this matter, I ask that you raise your hand electronically, or if you're on a telephone, you can press, I think it's *9, and state your name and address, and keep your comments to 5 minutes, please. Do we have any takers?
We do not at this time.
Okay. Brian, did you have any communication from any neighbors or anything?
I did not hear anything, no.
Okay, excellent. Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Member Johnson moves to close.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Do we have support?
Member Deering supports.
Thank you, Member Deering. All those in favor to close the public hearing, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, we're back in regular session. Then,
We did just have a raised hand.
oh, we
Oh,
did.
and he just put it, or that person just put it, oh, and now it's back up.
Okay, we will.
It kind of happened as you were closing.
Well, we'll go ahead and bring them on. Let's do that real quick.
Okay.
That's the beauty of being the chairman. I can flex the rules a little bit.
AJ?
Yeah, my name is AJ Lytle. I live at 2487 Sturbridge Drive, next door to the Krauses. And just wanted to let you know, as a neighborhood, Brad's spoken with us about it, and I don't believe any of us, certainly me as his direct next door neighbor, have no issue with his plans.
Okay, I appreciate hearing that. For clarity's sake, if I was standing in the cul-de-sac staring at Brad's house, would you be to the right or the left of him?
So I would be to the left. So I'm on the other
Okay.
side of his house from where he does plan to build the structure. But
Okay,
I do know he's spoken with all of us in the cul-de-sac. So
Well,
I
it
obviously can't speak for other neighbors, but as his
Sure.
next door neighbor there, I just have no issue. I just wanted to let you all know that he has spoken with his neighbors about his plans.
I appreciate that. And I assumed that was the case, because usually when that doesn't happen is when there's a long line of people waiting to speak. So
Yeah.
it would appear that that he's well organized. So thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions of the neighbor? All right. Thank you, sir, for your time. Appreciate that.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, we are out of public hearing, and I'd be open to some discussion or action on this issue if anybody wishes to do either.
Member Katzma, I can make a motion.
Okay, Member Katzma, go for it.
Not hearing anything, so for case 21-3619, I would make a motion that we approve as recommended with the two stipulations that the outdoor lighting must meet our criteria and it cannot be used for a living space.
Or to run a business.
Or to run a business, yes.
Okay.
Member
Is
Johnson.
there
Member Kreider
support?
support.
Thank you, Member Kreider, for the support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And with that, that motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We will move on to Article 7, which is case number 21-3620, Med Bio. I believe this one is going over to Mr. Peterson, if I'm not mistaken. I see we have a site plan for a large addition. They're looking for a site plan approval.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Steve?
So this is an addition. Right, this isn't a public hearing, so it's kind of a one-shot deal to the planning commission. How about now?
Yep.
Sounds like the internet connection is running a little slow on Steve's.
Working.
I never thought of Steve as being a slow guy, but tonight, all right. Well, it looks like we have lost Steve here for a moment, guys. I'm sure Cassie's working to try and rectify that as best possible. Would it be possible, Cassie, maybe for Steve to communicate with one of us on a speakerphone that we set near our... No.
Can you hear me, Scott?
Oh, I can hear you now. And now I can't.
I can call him if that would help.
Let's try that. Let's try that, Cassie. If you could call him and relay the audio through your phone, I think that, and then if he mutes himself on his end, we shouldn't get feedback. Let's give that a try, because it would appear that his internet connection is having a difficult.
Okay, I have you on speakerphone. If you mute your end, we might be able to do this.
If I mute my screen?
Yes, we can hear you, Steve. This is
You
working.
can hear me now. Sorry about that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know who came up with this idea. They must be brilliant.
It's
so low tech.
I'll do my staff report. I was so excited. All right. So Med Bio site plan review, which is a one-shot deal for the Planning Commission. Med Bio is located on the south side of 36th Street.
Oh, he hung up on me.
Oh, really? We were getting a little feedback there. It sounded like right at the end. He's
It
probably
may have been
hearing-
coming from my, well, no.
Right, because you would have to turn your volume down. Actually, what you need to do is mute the phone on your end, Cassie. We may have to do this without him if we can't get the phone to work. But if you mute your phone and he mutes his computer, that should eliminate all feedback. And then you should be able to do the telephone game again.
Okay, we'll try that. Steve?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes. But
We're still getting the feedback.
I've got my computer muted.
I've got my phone muted.
Steve's not showing up as
He needs to
muted
turn the
Zoom,
volume
which I
down
think
on
is the
his
problem.
computer.
Steve, turn the volume
What's that?
down on your computer.
It's muted. I'll turn the volume all the way down. Is that better?
Yeah.
Much.
Yep.
All right, let's try to get through this. Med Bio site plan review. It's a 21,000 square foot addition, actually a little bit over 21,000 square feet. Med Bio owns the adjacent piece of property as well to the north. It's located in the industrial zoning district. It's about 4 acres in size. They've designed it to meet all of our setback requirements. Maybe the nuance of this plan is parking. Site's required to have 44 parking spaces. They show a total of 53, although 22 of those are being deferred. So we've done this with other projects where they have the space to build more parking. They think they don't need it. So they're not building all of the parking at this time. I didn't put it in there as a condition, but you guys definitely should talk about it and decide whether or not you're going to allow them to defer parking spaces. These spaces would be built when either the applicant wants to build them, or suppose if we end up with problems, people are parking somewhere illegally or they're parking in the buffer yard areas, we would tell them they need to put in the additional parking spaces. The area that is all designed for the addition and the parking has all been designed to meet the requirements for the engineering as well. So the storm sewer system that's designed accommodates all of that expansion, including many of the deferred parking. So if and when they want to build that in the future, they would, at least at a minimum, have to come through and get what we call administrative site plan approval, which is a staff level approval. Obviously, if they're still meeting the current design, that would be a rather painless process. There's no new access to the site, so the road commission review wasn't involved. The fire department did review it. There was some minor changes that have already been incorporated into the site plan. I mentioned the township engineer. They've already given their comments. Their report is in your packet as well. The storm sewer system is an underground detention system, so we've got a few of those. We actually got some comments from the airport, more than just their normal, they also get construction permits. They did make some comments in regards to landscaping and lighting. Their lighting requirements are basically the same as ours, that they have to be shielded, cut off lights. Did make some suggestion comments about different types of landscaping that might help avoid any kind of animal attractors out there. So the applicant has indicated they would work with them on that. They're giving you a landscape plan. We're suggesting a landscape bond of $5,000. Again, I mentioned the lighting plan. It meets our requirements. That is in your packet as well. So it meets all of our light level standards as well. We're recommending approval of their site plan for the addition with 2 requirements: the landscape bond and the executed stormwater agreement.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Are there any questions for Steve? Hopefully he's able to hear us now. Does anybody have any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yes, Member Rappin, what's your question?
Well, 2 related to the parking. The report here shows that the stormwater retention is correctly sized for the addition, but should parking be expanded, is it also adequately sized in the event that new parking is added as well?
Yes, it is designed for all of that as well. Yep.
And the only thing that stood out was the deferred parking to me when I was reading through. And have there ever been any past issues where it has been deferred and has been a problem to request when needed? Just would lead me to formally put something in suggesting that versus leaving it less clear.
Usually in these places where people want it deferred, it's usually been, you know, they know their businesses better than we do, and that has not been a problem. We haven't had that problem in the past.
Okay, thank you. Those are my two questions.
Thank you, Member Rappin. Anyone else have any questions of staff at this time? Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask one. I guess first I'll start with a comment first. I noticed we did a couple of maybe just one med bio approval a few years in the past, and they had a similar. There was talk about parking, and I noticed that while it's full, it hasn't been overly congested. So I'm not opposed to deferring. They seemed to handle that well there. But my question is about the old loading dock, if you will, the existing loading dock now. Are they keeping that loading dock? Because it looks to me like it would be extremely difficult for a truck to back into that loading dock, given the current configuration of the proposed parking lot without backing in from the cul-de-sac. And is that a concern to you at all, Steve, from a staff perspective? Or is that not a concern?
It's not a concern from the staff's perspective, but certainly I think the applicant is here if you want to, you know, get some details on how they plan to sort of maneuver on their site. That's probably a good question for them.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions of staff before we speak with the applicant? Well, I guess we're right to that time then. With that, if the applicant could raise his hand, I believe we were told we're probably going to hear from a James Lewis this evening from Pinnacle Construction Group, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If you could raise your hand electronically, and Cassie will get you connected to us, and we'll go from there.
Mr. Lewis?
Yep.
Welcome, Mr. Lewis. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, they are planning on keeping the truck dock.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly how trucks are getting in there right now, but it would be a similar approach where I think they turn into the parking to the north and then back in.
Yeah, I think that's going to be hard to do that with that landscaping island on the east side of that parking lot, for them to be able to swing that. But I don't drive a truck, so maybe they're just going to use it for straight trucks. But with that island right there, I don't think they're going to get a semi around the corner.
Yeah,
So, but I don't think that's not a deal breaker for me anyway. It was an observation I had. But if that's how they want to move forward, then that's what we'll consider. Did you have any other thoughts or anything you wish to add?
No, it's a pretty straightforward addition to a successful business, and they're really excited about getting moving.
Yes. No, I'm excited too. I think it's great. Like I said a few moments ago, I think this is the second or third time that MedBio has been in front of us with a plan, and obviously they've done well on the other buildings. So I look forward to seeing them in this one. So okay. Does any members of the commission have any questions of that applicant at this time?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Member Nordyke.
Yeah, a question, and perhaps you can't answer this, but would your client or MedBio can be open to putting the parking in? I'm just trying to understand their thinking with it. If they have established when they will build it, or if you can provide any context, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so as of right now, there's really three buildings here. There's the proposed addition, then there's the existing warehouse to the west, and then there on the north, there's an office space. Right now, the office space is unoccupied, but we'll be undergoing a renovation as part of this process. But it's unclear to me, and I think probably a little bit to them, as to how quickly they're going to staff up that office. And also the warehousing, the existing tenant in the warehouse, they have very few users, I guess, or staff members currently there. So the current parking load is minimal. I think that they use 4 spaces or something like that. So I think it's kind of a wait and see how many people we actually get into the office, and what the actual occupant load on the factory is. I don't think they've decided exactly what size machines or what their shifts are going to look like either. So those are all factors going into how they're thinking about it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions of the applicant? Can I ask, do you know if they plan to continue to operate the other 2 buildings, or would one of those be consolidated into this site?
No, this is a pure expansion.
Okay. Glad to hear it. Good for them. Anyone else? Last chance. All right, Mr. Lewis, I appreciate you joining us this evening. Thank you. I think you're out of the hot seat for now.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a site plan approval. We had a couple of conditions on this one that the staff recommended, was to have them execute the stormwater agreement, and I think $5,000 bond for landscaping, Steve mentioned. Do we have any discussion on this? Or any action? Again, I'm comfortable with the parking because past history has shown that they seem to be following the rules, so to speak. But I'm open to anyone making a motion with or discussion of other.
Mr. Chairman, I just got a comment.
Sure, Member Katzma. They're allowed.
I would be okay with deferring that. I think it's nice if they don't need all the paving there. Let's just not have it. But just as long as there's no permanent building or anything along those lines that can't be easily removed, I would be okay with it.
Okay. Well, it's just lawn for now.
Yep.
No, at least that's what it looked like on maybe I should say it's just snow for now. But all right. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to add? Thank you, Member Katzman, for that.
I have one question.
Yes, Member Moxley.
Is the stormwater detention sized for the future parking area at this time?
It is. It is. That
Okay.
was addressed earlier, I think. But yes, it is.
Just want to be sure it's big enough.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any other questions? Thank you for that, Member Moxley. Does anyone wish to take any action if there's no more discussion?
I can take a stab at that.
That'd be
Member
great,
Rappin.
Member Rappin. I'm on the edge of my seat.
All right. In case I would move to approve the site plan review in case 21-3620, inclusive of staff recommendations.
Member Johnson supports.
Thank you, Member Rappin, for the motion and Member Johnson for the support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And with that, MedBio gets to expand. All right. We will move on to Article 8, which is any other business. At this time, does anyone have any other business? I had a question that I was going to.
That doesn't have anything, but I will tell you, we do have our meeting scheduled in 2 weeks.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
Or maybe it's actually the 22nd because of the President's Day in there, but we do have our second February meeting on schedule.
Okay. All right. Okay. I was going to ask a question about process for Steve, just as a curiosity simply.
Sure.
I always view you as my parliamentarian usually during these meetings. And so this one's kind of directed towards you. So my question is, when the planning commission has to do a roll call vote, is there a specific person that is supposed to facilitate the roll call? Is it staff? Is it the chairman? Is it the vice chairman? I suspect it's the secretary is typically. And this is not meant to, as any disrespect to Member Slater, who has done a phenomenal job of this in the past year. My understanding is she has a little bit of experience with it. But I'm just curious if there is a protocol per se that would be the standard. And do you have any insight on that, Steve?
It's a good question. I'm not aware of one either. Historically, staff has facilitated that role, just because I think sometimes it can be awkward when you have a member asking for votes and then they're also one of the members doing the voting. Typically, maybe in bigger cities, you see the clerks do it when they aren't actually, a voting member. But the answer to your question is, I don't believe there is a standard for that, but just historically, staff has done that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're not creating our own rules as we go. And if there was a proper protocol, I wanted to follow it. So it sounds like we're doing okay then.
We're doing okay.
All right, thank you, Steve. If any of the planning commission members ever have a desire for us to have a specific method for that, should Stu be absent, let me know and we'll try to go that route. But I try to learn something every day, and I succeeded today. Okay. Anyone else have any other business they would like to discuss?
I would like to discuss roll call yet.
Okay, Member Katzma.
What's the standard for when we use that versus not? I feel like we've done it a few times. We started with it,
well,
kind of went to something else, and now we went back to it one other time. What's the use case?
That's a good question. So I would say a couple of different answers to that. One, when we do something like a resolution, which I know we don't do a lot of, we probably do one or maybe two a year. Typically those are done through roll call votes. A member may ask for one. So if there's a vote that, maybe you couldn't tell if what the vote was, so the chairman might ask for a roll call vote. Maybe during your deliberations, there's people saying, they're going to support something. Some people are saying they're not. So, again, maybe somebody asked for a roll call vote just because it's going to be a close vote or something. So, that's something really you guys can decide. Some people do, roll call votes for, a lot more than just what I described. They do it for everything. I think early on we were doing it for a lot just because the Zoom was new and we wanted to make sure, we were getting the votes, and it was so new to all of us. So, that was really why we did it early on during this. But I guess what I'm describing is maybe a little bit more of the normal situation. So you can do them all the time if you want.
Thank you, Steve. I know we've used, I know I have asked specifically for a roll call vote if I thought the vote might be a split, so to speak, especially in Zoom. So I know I did that earlier on a case that we had that I ended up being unanimous, but I thought there was going to be some different opinions on that one. And so as a precaution, I did roll call vote. And then also we've had legal counsel before recommend it. But yeah, primarily I think it's for resolutions usually is when we would do it. So any other business this evening? Well, I'm not hearing any, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn for Article 9, unless somebody has something they want to jump in with first.
Member Johnson moves to adjourn.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Do we have support?
Or
Thank you, Member Moxley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I almost did a roll call vote just for a joke. but
I thought it was going to happen. I thought it was
Do
going to
it.
happen.
Don't do it.
I hope all of you have a great evening. Thank you for joining us.
Ooh,
Thanks.
We'll
Cindy.
see you
All right, see you.
later in
Bye.
February. Bye.
see ya.
Thank you, Cassie, for the use of your telephone
Of course, no problem.
and making that go together.
Glad it worked. Thanks for
Good
the
night.
idea.
Yeah, no problem.
Have,
Bye.
have a good night.